I checked my phone and noticed I had 13 missed calls, all from my mother-in-law, Martha. Not again. While thinking about this, my phone vibrated once more. I answered, "Hello." Martha sounded angry. "Excuse me. Wasn't the allowance for this month supposed to be $3,000? It's overdue? Excuse me. I told you to send the allowance. This month's payment hasn't been deposited yet." Martha ranted, ignoring my situation and only thinking about what she wanted. I was fed up with her. Even in this situation, she doesn't think about what she says and does, right? I have no choice but to go for my last option. I gathered my thoughts and told my phone, "Your son has passed away, so I can't send an allowance anymore. I'm Jennifer Smith, 32 years old, a busy woman working at a major financial firm and a housewife. I got married about 2 years ago to my beloved husband, Mark, whom I met through our shared hobbies. His kind nature and warm smile drew me in, and we quickly developed feelings for each other. After a year of dating, we got engaged, both convinced that we were the best for each other. We lived together without major quarrels and decided to marry. Everything was smooth until a problem arose. Martha, my mother-in-law. My father-in-law passed away a few years ago, leaving Martha as Mark's only family. The trouble began when I first visited her before our wedding. "Nice to meet you." Martha clearly showed displeasure. "So, you're Mark's fiancé?" "Yes, I'm Jennifer Miller." "You're a rather plain girl. I wonder what Mark sees in you, huh?" I couldn't tell if she was joking or serious. Having such words from my loved one's mother shocked me. Observing my distress, Mark scowled at Martha. "Hey, Mom, what's with the sudden harsh words? How can you say such things about the person I chose?" "No, Mark, I'm just trying to pick a suitable woman for you." "Pick? I'm the one who chose her. You have no right to interfere. Don't say it in such a cold way. I'm just telling the truth because I care about you. If you were really thinking of me, you'd simply support us. Why can't you understand such a simple thing?" An argument unfolded between mother and son right before my eyes, making the air heavy. As it was my first meeting with Martha, I wasn't in a position to intervene. Despite the lingering awkwardness, we eventually conveyed our intent to marry. As we were leaving, Martha called out to Mark, sounding somewhat disgruntled. "Mark, can I have a word? You're going to keep that promise after you get married, right?" "What promise?" "You know about the allowance." "Ah, that. Yes, I'll be sure to take care of that. Can we not discuss it here, please?" "Well, I was just asking." The tension between my husband and his mother persisted, and discomfort hung thick in the air. In the car on the way home, I questioned Mark about the conversation he had with his mom as we were leaving. "Hey, Mark, about the talk you had with your mom." "Yeah, I should have told you about it, Jennifer. I heard something about an allowance. After my dad passed away, I've been sending money to my mom every month." "How much?" $2,000. "What? $2,000? I couldn't help but raise my voice in surprise. He sighed deeply and began to explain slowly. "Actually, my mom has a debt. She lost a lot of money at a casino a long time ago, and she's still paying it off. Her health isn't great these days, so she spends a lot of time at home. But she still needs money to live, right? But $2,000, isn't that a bit too much? If I try to lower the amount, she keeps calling me over and over. And no matter what, a mother is still a mother. I worry about her living alone." "I see. Mark is really devoted to his mother, but that makes sense. Since his father passed away, Martha has been the only family he has left. Regardless of her character, she's still his beloved mother. At that time, I only saw my husband as a kind person. 2 months after our wedding, during my lunch break one day, I got a call on my smartphone. The call was from Martha. When I answered with a hello, Martha began to speak cheerfully. "Jennifer, long time no see. Can we chat for a bit?" "Yes, what can I do for you?" "Well, I was hoping you could start sending me money." "Excuse me?" I was so taken aback, I couldn't find words to respond. However, Martha seemed excited to continue the conversation. "You mentioned before that you're working for a financial company, right?" That means you have a good salary, doesn't it? Well, not exactly. What, you're lying to avoid giving me money? That's not what I mean. Then what is it? But Martha, you're still receiving financial support from Mark, aren't you? To my question, Martha responded defiantly. So what? Jennifer sternly expressed her feelings. Martha, getting $2,000 monthly support is a big deal. And yet you're asking for more. Really? You think so? If you were to send me an additional $1,000, I could avoid burdening Mark. What do you mean by that? Well, I have Mark as a guarantor for my debts. If I fail to make payments, the debt collectors will go after him. Do you understand? But aren't you using part of Mark's $2,000 to pay back the debt? I'm short. I haven't told Mark, but I have a significant amount of debt. Martha's tone made it clear that this was a fact. Even her husband was unaware of it. With future plans of having children, our expenses were set to increase. On top of that, taking over Martha's debt wasn't an easy task. But if Martha's payments fell behind and the debt landed on Mark, the interest would likely accumulate significantly by then. If I refused to send money, it would eventually become a problem for my husband. It seemed better for Martha to clear her debt now. Reluctantly, I agreed to Martha's proposal. All right, I'll start sending you money. Really? Good God, Jennifer. I knew you would say that. The total, with Mark's contribution, will be $3,000. But this means you can pay off your debt, right? Yes, of course. I should be able to pay it all off in about a year. You promise, right? You'll make sure to pay off all your debts? I get it. So I'll be expecting it from this month onwards. Martha ended the call abruptly. The combination of physical exhaustion from work and this emotional burden only added to my stress. $1,000 a month, that's going to be rough, but it's also to prevent future problems for us. After all, if Martha can't make a living, it will upset Mark as well. That night, I promptly reported the matter to my husband. He told me I didn't have to do this, but I had already given my word to Martha, and it was a decision made for our future well-being. Mark expressed his gratitude and understanding, wearing a sorry expression throughout. Time passed, and 2 years have gone by. The financial support we initially thought would last a year is still ongoing, and even now, we're sending $3,000 every month to Martha. Moreover, about 2 months ago, Mark fell ill and hasn't been able to work. He's on sick leave, receiving disability benefits, but it's much less than his previous salary. Last month, I managed to transfer $3,000 to Martha from my savings, but if this situation continues, it will be very challenging. Shockingly, Martha has not visited her sick son even once. Despite informing her about his hospitalization, she doesn't show up and only contacts me to ask, "You're still sending the money, right?" I was furious and decided to talk to Mark about it. Mark, listen. Isn't it wrong that Martha is only concerned about money despite your condition? We need to seriously consider what to do moving forward. Yeah, I've been thinking the same thing. I don't want to put more strain on you, Jennifer. This month, too, she's bombarding me with calls and messages, asking if we've sent the money yet. Can you believe it? How could she focus solely on money when her son is unwell? Mark expressed his frustration at his mother, his face showing signs of weariness. Then, with a sudden idea, Mark exclaimed, "I've got it," and flashed a sly grin. "What is it, Mark?" I inquired. "Well, this is our last option. I've thought of something unconventional." "Yeah, for my mom." "What?" Mark proposed a plan beyond my imagination. While it might be considered inappropriate, it appeared to be the only way to get Martha to comprehend. A few weeks later, Mark was discharged from the hospital. Since Martha hadn't responded to any of our messages, we didn't inform her about Mark's release. In the past 2 weeks, Martha had persistently demanded the money. While Mark and I were enjoying a cup of tea, a message popped up on my phone. Upon checking, I saw 13 missed calls from Martha again. As expected, my phone vibrated once more. It was another call from Martha. "Hello," I responded, activating the speaker microphone so that Mark could also listen. Martha immediately started shouting. Listen, where's the $3,000 for this month? Excuse me, that's right. The money for this month hasn't been transferred yet. Do you realize Mark is now? I began, but Martha cut me off, saying, I don't care if he's in the hospital or whatever. It's none of my business. You're working at a good place, right? You must have plenty of savings. Hurry up and transfer it here. Martha was yelling angrily. Eventually, she said something unbelievable. Listen, since you married Mark, if he can't pay, you have to pay me. Understand? If you refuse, I'll make you the guarantor. Got it? At that moment, something inside me snapped. She was openly expressing her demands without considering our situation at all. I had reached my breaking point with her. I had no choice but to resort to the last option. I firmly declared into my smartphone, Mark has passed away. I can't send you any more money. At these words, Martha blurted out a baffled what. This was the final step that my husband suggested, to lie to Martha about Mark's death and observe her reaction. If she showed any sign of sadness, reflected on her behavior, and apologized, we would continue to support her financially. But if she didn't reflect and demanded money, we would sever ties completely. Deep down, I believed that even someone like Martha would deeply reflect on her actions if she were told that her own son had died. But in the very next moment, Martha burst into loud laughter. Yay, what's so funny? I asked. Well, isn't it obvious? If Mark is dead, that means his inheritance will be distributed to me too. Excuse me. I've been looking into it since I heard that Mark was sick. Listen here, 2/3 of Mark's assets are yours, but 1/3 is mine. I was at a loss for words. I never thought that when she first heard that her son was sick, she wouldn't look into treatment, but into how the inheritance would be divided. My anger surpassed. I was simply dumbfounded. My husband seemed to feel the same way, and as our eyes met, he slowly nodded. This was the signal to continue with the plan. Once again, I spoke firmly to Martha. Martha, did you hear what I said? Mark is dead. I heard, and what about it? Aren't you sad your own son passed away before you? You just make sure to send me some. I won't let you get away with not doing it. With a click, the phone line was cut off, and a dial tone echoed. I glanced at my husband and saw that he was shaking, his face red with anger. Mark, are you okay? I asked. As I asked, my husband looked into my eyes and said, I'm cutting ties with her. She'll likely come here eventually, demanding money. Let's wait until then, okay? But are you really okay with this, cutting off ties just like that? I inquired. Yeah, I have no regrets. After that call, she's no mother. My husband's eyes were filled with hatred, and I felt the same way. A person who only thinks about money over her own son's life is not family to me. A few days later, as we expected, Martha came to our house. For the time being, I decided to hide my husband in the next room and deal with Martha myself. Then Martha approached me with a face like a demon. Hey, give me Mark's inheritance right now, she demanded. Again with that. Anything else to say? He's already dead, isn't he? It's pointless to say anything now. Yet you never even visited him. What are you saying? Are you really his mother? You're so annoying. Give me the inheritance right away. I don't mind getting a lawyer. Speaking more would be a waste of time. Just as I thought that, my husband emerged from the next room. Seeing him, Martha let out a startled gasp, as if she had seen a ghost. Mark, why weren't you dead? Long time no see, Mom. Sorry, but the news about my death was a lie. Lie? How could you be so disrespectful? I wanted to confirm your true nature, Mom. I was curious about how you'd handle the allowance if your son died. But you turned out to be a gold digger, just as I suspected. I got that perfectly. What? How dare you call your mother a gold digger? Silence. I'm cutting ties with a toxic parent like you. Martha's mouth was agape at my husband's angry shouts. She could not come to terms with the fact that her own son was severing ties with her. What? What does this mean, Mark? It means exactly what I said. I can't consider someone like you as my mother. No way. Then what about the allowance? Do you really think I would? You're on your own with the debts. We're moving. Wait, please. If you do that, what about my living expenses? With tears in her eyes, Martha reached out to my husband. He forcefully shook off her hand, looked at her coldly, and said, I don't care about your living expenses. You have been living off us without even a single apology. I really understand your despicable nature now. Don't you dare show up in front of us again. No, wait, Mark. Are you going to abandon your mother? Ignoring her words, my husband seized Martha's arm and guided her to the front door. He tossed her shoes and bag outside and escorted Martha out of the house. Martha created a commotion outside for a while but eventually disappeared, possibly unable to withstand the scrutiny of the neighbors. Despite her multiple attempts to contact us, we ignored all of them. Martha's number was set to be automatically rejected, and we completed our move. Regarding the issue of co-signing for the debts, it became invalid since Martha had made Mark the co-signer without his consent, absolving him of responsibility. Without the allowance from us, Martha seems to be leading a challenging life. It's only natural, given that she had been using the allowance for gambling instead of settling her debts. She still faces a substantial debt burden and is pursued by debt collectors daily. Unable to indulge in gambling anymore, she appears to be working tirelessly from dawn to dusk. It's unlikely that she will be able to fully clear her debts in the foreseeable future. She will have to keep working until she is physically unable to do so. This is entirely a consequence of her own actions. As for us, we are enjoying fulfilling days in our new home. My husband's health has stabilized, and he has returned to work. After some time, we discovered a new life growing in my belly. We are expecting an additional member in our family next year. Moving forward, we aim to cherish happy moments as a family of 3.